presence of loving friends, for Nanette's love that united us in life and which death cannot sever, for her companionship that we shared along life's path and which continues through the tenderness of memory, for the gifts of her heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness and is now a precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give thanks to God. In this time of grief, we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures that brings us the ever new message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with our Creator in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. I'm going to read a proverb 31. We'll start out with a couple of words in Hebrew and then we'll switch into English. Most of it will be in English. Eshes chayom beyimtza v'rachok mifinim nechra vodach v'olei ba'alo v'shalol lo yechsar. A woman of valor who can find, she's more precious than fine pearls. She perceives that her labor is rewarding, her candle burns on into the night. She reaches out to those in need and extends her hands to the poor. She's clothed in strength and dignity, and she faces the future cheerfully. She speaks with wisdom, the law of kindness is on her lips. Many daughters have done valiantly, but you excel them all. It is often said that the writing of a eulogy is one of the hardest tasks to perfect. How does one characterize and bring to life the essence of a person in a few brief glimpses into their past, and bring to life for that final curtain the memories that will comfort those that remain behind? And so today, my friends and family, we will attempt to encapsulate the spirit and breath that made Nanette Salomon the very special person she was. Two people are going to deliver the eulogy. First, we will hear from Nanette's nephew, Greg, and then followed by Nanette's sister-in-law, Michelle.
There's a lot to say, and unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time regarding that right now. But first, I'm going to start out with a briefish bio of her, and then I think it's only right that I start out with a brief speech written by my uncle, as he is the eldest sibling. So Nanette was born in Montevideo, Uruguay, 1946, to parents who escaped the potential horrors of the Nazis, whereby her father was a young German Jewish high court judge and her mother was originally from a rural shtetl in Ukraine. Nanette was 2 years old when her parents moved her and her older brother Felix to Elizabeth, New Jersey, where two of her maternal uncles already established themselves there. The family referred to her as Nani, which still was the case amongst close relatives until her recent death. 2 years later, when Nanette was age 4, her mother tragically died of breast cancer at age 42. Nani had a difficult time growing up without a mother, and while two of her aunts of blessed memory, Bella and Hilda, as wives of two uncles, tried their best to fill in the gap, they never could give her what she needed. Oddly enough, she and one of her mother's older brothers, Uncle Willie, developed quite an affection for each other, as he had a very nurturing presence in her life as someone single and without kids, but with a big heart and lively sense of humor, which is likely where Nanette got hers from. Nanette was always different from the other girls and wanted to be treated like her brothers and other boys. Supposedly, when she was in 4th grade at her Jewish day school, and the boys and girls began to learn separately. She demanded, along with two of her friends, to study exactly the same subjects that the boys studied, such as Talmud. She was always concerned about her and others being treated fairly and was often oppositional to conform to societal norms. At around age 10, Nanette, along with her brothers and father, moved to Rego Park, Queens, where she continued her undergraduate studies at the prestigious Queens University. While always smart and thoughtful, she did not fare well starting out as a psych major, largely due to an unnurturing, unstable household. Somehow, she started taking art history courses and found she had quite a knack for the subject, which was a perfect match for her high level of perception of her surroundings, along with deep analytical skills and a mind like a sponge for absorbing information and using perhaps her photographic-like memory to retain such knowledge. With the help and support of her Uncle Willie, she went on to pursue a PhD in art history at NYU School of Fine Arts, where she wrote her dissertation in 17th century Dutch art. In addition to general Dutch art, she was always passionate about feminism and gender studies and pursued this passion in the study of European art throughout the ages. She became a tenured professor at the College of Staten Island in the mid-'80s, where she continued into full professorship for a total of 35 years. Throughout these years, she lived in the Upper East Side of Manhattan at various locations, where her last residence was on East End Avenue near Gracie Mansion. She, in recent years, would spend her summers up in the Berkshires near Williamstown, Massachusetts, where she not only enjoyed the surroundings, but did research at the prestigious Clark Institute of Art at Williams College. In addition to teaching, she authored several books and papers from subjects ranging from understanding the evolution of works of art as objects of sexual affection and the treatment of women artists throughout the ages in Europe to her book on the Dutch artist Jacob Duck. She also has given talks at the Museum of Jewish Heritage on Jewish women artists such as Nanette Salomon, with no relation to the family. While not very religious, has always been a proud Jewish woman, proud of her heritage, and was always passionate about social justice and was vocal about unfair treatment of different ethnic and socioeconomic groups along with gender equality. While passionate about equality, also passionate about individual rights and not being pressured to conform to societal norms of dress and the like. While highly intellectual with a flair for the finer things in life, she also interested herself in pop culture and enjoyed watching shows such as Judge Judy, The Nanny, and Gunsmoke. Despite having an often rocky relationship with her siblings, she always cared about them and always tried to help with advice or moral support to whomever needed it. While she became somewhat disabled in her mid-70s at around the end of her career, she never gave up on the idea of walking without a walker and driving again, and continued to fight for her health and well-being, even during her battle with cancer, and continued to always care about and support her family. So now I'm just going to read a brief speech written by my uncle, and then I'll move on to my personal speech. So give me one sec. So this is written by my uncle, Nanette's and my father's oldest brother, but very young in spirit and in mind. So in honor of my sister, Nanette Salomon, he writes, my sister Nanette was 3 years younger than I. We shared a great deal together in our younger days. I love and loved her very much, along with my 5 years younger brother, David. Nani, as we called her, my brother and I, grew up in my Uncle Willie's and his home in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Nani was an extraordinary intellect and a passionate feminist. She made an international reputation for herself as an art historian, giving a voice to female artists and female commentators in the art history field. For example, one of her published books, Shifting Priorities, is a must-read in the field of art history. Nani was always true to her principles and sometimes difficult to get along with because her spirit was very opinionated and motivated by championing the underdog. For this and many other qualities, Nanette Salomon deserves everyone's respect. I love her very much, and I hope and pray that she rests in peace. Her memory will always be a blessing. With love always, your brother, Felix Salomon. Okay, that was really beautiful, Felix. I'm going to move on to, I guess, my personal little speech about her. I mean, it's just, how do you, there's just so much to say, and there's so much that has come to mind that just, it just can't be put into a 10-minute speech. And then there's just so much that probably has not come to mind. And I'm going to probably think about it in the next days, weeks, months, and years to come, and only realize at that point what a presence that she had that's missing in my life. So, okay. One sec. So, most of you who are here know that my aunt was an art historian who was a professor at the nearby College of Staten Island. And her teaching career can tell you a lot about who she was as a person. She would not give in to watering down her course to conform to, unfortunately, weakening teaching standards across the board. And whether it was a survey course, a general art appreciation survey course, course in Baroque art, it had to have a certain quality for it, and her students needed to come out with a certain amount of knowledge and understanding of what was being taught in the course. So needless to say, she did have many students who were not getting the grades that they were looking forward to seeing, and she would not curve the grades accordingly. And yeah, you could see she could be a tough cookie and someone who did not always like to conform to current trends. However, she wanted to see her students do well, so much so that she would have them submit their papers and then give them feedback to give so that they could improve their work. And she would reread their papers and then give commentary, and they would get better grades, hopefully. And well, you could see how in that regard she could be a caring and compassionate person. I'd like to now talk about the personal. And while always maintaining some presence in my life throughout the years, we weren't always that close, and our relationship evolved over time, where our last years have been the closest. She definitely did have a strong presence in my childhood as being a strong source of culture and inspiration, getting me introduced to the world of art at a young age, including helping me write a composition on the Arc de Triomphe, and also helping me with my high school art history assignment of analyzing European art throughout the ages, in which I got a B, but got reassurance from her that what I wrote was sufficiently well written and analytical, and that the teacher was just, well, a jerk, I guess. She did though find me at times to be an annoying thoughtless jerk, and I found her at times to be oversensitive and judgmental. We certainly had our ups and downs, as everyone in the family seems to have had with one another. Over the years, though, I learned to try to not be callous or thoughtless and try to be sensitive to her needs. And in return, she became less prone to being offended at my words or actions and appreciated my goodwill towards her. Yes, there were many differences in individual character traits that made us unique, some of which I only learned to appreciate in later years. While we were both messy hoarders, she actually remembered what she had and where she placed those items. Whereas I, on the other hand, well, if you know me, you know. Her amazing perception and acknowledgement to detail and her remarkable memory, even in her late 70s, far surpassed mine in my late 30s, which is truly quite humbling in and of itself, aside from the strong components of the foundation that boasted her up as a high-level scholar in art history. One thing that we had in common, which really forged our closeness as aunt and nephew, really as good buddies, was our love for diners. which is how we spend half of our time, either eating at local Manhattan diners or taking, as my dear friend LJ calls a truxier, to the suburbs in New Jersey or Westchester or beyond, where we would discover a new diner, one that we've discovered before that we really like, including one of our favorites, the good old Randolph Diner, located about 40 miles west of New York City in Morris County, New Jersey. While so many saw me as the ultimate helper and caregiver, the fact of the matter is that she was always there for me when I needed help or not. And while I often had too much pride in not asking for financial assistance during times of hardship, she always offered me the opportunity to borrow or even simply take cash from her, even though the funny thing about her at times was her fiscal prudence when transactions were more formal in nature. But such oxymoronic idiosyncrasies are what make us human. But when I needed help during the most important battle of my life with COVID-19, she was there to save the day. When so many pharmacies were out of azithromycin, a drug that was offered by that was recommended I take by a doctor at Coney Island Hospital, she was the one who diligently put her research skills to task and found a mom and pop pharmacy not far from me that had some. While we were in many ways very different in our interests, mentality, and perspective on life, I did enjoy chatting with her about art at times, and I think she appreciated occasional instances of insight on my part. You would never think, though, that a feminist art historian would love talking about investment so much that she would call her financial advisor regularly, and almost every time she saw me, she would ask me to take out my phone and check the NASDAQ, or turn the car radio to 1010 winds to do the same. While I was more of a conformist in the past with not being confrontational, the no-nonsense woman that she was, she wouldn't let anyone get away with making any sort of mistake that might have been in their favor. She spoke her mind and wasn't so influenced by what others did. She not only saw the world differently than most directly because of her intellect, but unique events and people from her childhood shaped her perspective on the world, including mundane matters, to be quite different than most. Her active mind that was always perceptive of minute details that helped make her a brilliant art historian sometimes made her hypersensitive to things in the realm of sound, touch, and taste. She read the ingredients on all labels of food and would tell the cooks at the assisted living places that she would move to that she only wanted organic this or organic that. And of course, I cringed and looked the other way while she was saying that. However, let's not forget the times I bought her organic cream cheese. But upon having me read the ingredients to her, we discovered that despite being organic, there was a substance in the cream cheese called gar gum that was supposedly harsh on the stomach. However, soon after, I got to thinking that maybe the lactose in cream cheese wasn't the only thing that bothered me, as I would take lactate tablets and realized that I felt the best after having the simple brand of Organic Valley cream cheese that doesn't have the gar gum ingredient. She definitely was influential in my eating habits, despite the fact that I never quite adopted her orthodoxies. If it weren't for her, aside from Organic Valley cream cheese, I wouldn't have discovered Monin soda syrup such as cola and mint, and President's chocolate from Canada, which I'm happy to have provided in the last months of her life from one of my trips to Toronto. Despite her sensitivities, which sometimes impeded her from being more active and being in better physical shape, towards what became the end of her life prior to cancer, she not only never conceded to not being able to walk again when she had become wheelchair bound, but even seriously had in mind that she was going to walk without a walker and drive her car again. She fought for what she wanted in life and never gave up on what she felt or she deserved. While I am extremely proud of what she accomplished academically and what she had to offer intellectually as a person, one of the most proudest and moving things about her this past year and a half prior to the awful cancer that she passed from. When she was having issues in rehab walking again, when she was in the assisted living place out in New Jersey, and she was plateauing. They generally thought that she wouldn't, that she would not be wheelchair bound, and she felt like she's going to walk, and she insisted she's going to walk again, and she did not accept that. And so from New Jersey, we got her to move out to Long Island to a very caring, warm assisted living place where she met the most fabulous physical therapist who was so encouraging and got her to walk even with a walker. For just in that is all you really need to know about my aunt, that sometimes all she needed was a little TLC to get her motivated, and she was not only made the most of her life and did amazing things, but she was there for all of us, and she was there for me in so many amazing ways, and cared about all my whereabouts and everyone's whereabouts in so many ways that some might get offended by how nosy she is, but it was just, it was out of love and caring and compassion that no one could ever be like that again. And that's one of the things I'm going to miss most. And for all these things, Nani, I'm so proud and glad that you were in my life. And I hope that somehow you are free to move about and to do the things that you enjoy doing, and that I continue and I hope to make you proud.
I'm not as techy as Gregory, so I still type it. Sorry,
Well, I do things the last minute, so I do them on my.
I just want to take a moment on behalf of David and his brother Felix to thank you for being here with us today. Gregory, you so eloquently laid out the wonderful life journey that Nanette lived. Besides the light of art history in her world, you certainly were a light in her life. She loved you so. And during the last couple of years, and more specifically, these last few months, Greg, you were her strength. You tenderly and lovingly cared for her. You chauffeured her. You bought her favorite foods. You sat with her, and I could go on and on. One thing I know for sure is she appreciated everything you did for her. She was very proud of you, and we are too. Mommy had a special friendship with Greg's mom, Cheryl Casses. Cheryl, you have been an extraordinary friend to Mommy. You spent time with her, you consoled her, you helped her navigate decisions, you brought her food, you walked in the halls with her, and thank you so much for that. A friend is what the heart needs all the time, and you were that for her, Cheryl, so thank you. And again, I thank all of you for joining us here today. And as Nani would say when she was tired of us, or she wanted us to travel back home because of traffic, in her very professorial way, she would tell us, you could go now. So my dear Nani, I take my leave. Rest in peace, dear.
I'm sorry, Rev, do you mind if I? Sorry, I meant to really include this. It would not do justice to the service if, as you can see, if I didn't mention what amazing stepmother I have, not just me, but how many funerals do you have where the sister-in-law speaks as and it just is a testament to how much she helped all of us stay afloat and did things always with a smile on her face for my aunt and myself. And she really, sure, I would go and get her favorite foods, but when it came to the real important things, like making sure where she was living and this and that, my stepmother was there for her and made things happen. in terms of life and death decisions and general, day-to-day major healthcare decisions. So, for that, I just want to say thank you so much. She really appreciated you and loved you very much.
Sure.
I'm running out of energy, so
I felt the twist.
yeah.
Thank you both. Thank you so much. It's funny, I listen to the eulogies and it tells me everything you want to know about the deceased, and sometimes it just really hits you in the heart. And this one did. Yeah, that's the way it goes. It's the way it is. Nanette will be sorely missed by friends and family alike. So as the days and months of mourning proceed, let us take strength in the knowledge that Nanette is now with the other beloved members of her family that passed away before her. Let us take those warm memories of the life and times of Nanette Salomon and use them to warm our hearts in the days and months to come. May her soul be bound up in the bond of ever-loving life. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
I'm going to read one psalm, and then we're going to do the memorial prayer. Then we'll say Kaddish after that. Then we'll go to, and then we'll go to, we'll have to talk to them nicely. And then we'll go to New Jersey, right? Okay. This is from Psalm 121. I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. The protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and coming, now and forever. Amen.
Amen.
Please rise for the memorial prayer.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Maybe five. That's Mole Rachamim, Shochen Bameromim, Amesei, Menucha, Nechonata, Kahanefer, Hashkenah, B'ma'alot, Kedoshim u'tehorim, Kizohar harakia, Mazirim, et nishmat, Aisha Shlomit bat Baruch, Sheholecha le'olama. Begane Tehei menuchaton L'chein bal rachamim Hashtireha בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים, את נשמתה אדוני היא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר אמן. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to the soul of our deceased Nanette Salomon, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and may her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is our inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us all say,
Amen.
For the college. Thank you. Together. Yiskadal, Shmei Rabba, Yolmo, Yov, Say, Yamliv, Malchusay, Bechayachon, Yomechon, Uchaye, Chovesh, Israel, Ba'agolo, Rizman, Kavid, Yimru, Amen. Yehei, Shmei Rabba, Levorach, Yolam, Olotei, Yom, Yisparach, Yishtabach, Yishba'ar, Yishralam, Yisnasei, Yisatar, Yisaleh, Yisalah, Shmei Dekudsho, Richu, Le'elo, Minkol, Rechoso, V'Shiroso, Tushkechoso, V'Nechemoso, Ka'amiron, V'Yolmo, V'Yimru, Amen. Yehei Shlomo, Rabo, Min Shemayo, V'Chayim, Oleinu, V'Al Kol Yisrael, V'Yimru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, V'Rumav, Uyaseh Shalom, Oleinu, V'Al Kol Yisrael, V'Yimru.
Amen.
This concludes the service. Thank you all for again.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our service. Please remain standing until the family has back. If you are going to the cemetery, please go to your vehicle so we can start the procession. Thank you.
Do you want to say anything to say goodbye?
Actually, we're not going to the cemetery. So
I can do that also.
yeah, feel
Here, so let me-
everyone.
One second,
Gonna,
let me turn this around
Yeah.
here. Okay.
so we're gonna end this for now. But when Erica gets to the cemetery, would you like us to do the cemetery?
Okay,
Bill.
we will turn it back
Okay.
on when we get to the graveside, okay?
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll check back in soon. Probably about
Who else
15
is there?
minutes,
Yeah.
15 minutes or
Who's
so.
online?
Here.
Oh,
look.
hi everyone. Thanks for joining us.